want to be liked by people. So you would want to, today you would try to make these people love you, right? Yeah. So, but are you soft or are you tough inside?
I just want to be your friend.
You can friend me on Facebook if you like.
Steve Ballmer is the one who's playing golf. That's me. There's about 8 of them out there.
All right. One big challenge in your life has to be to find time for what you're doing. Microsoft is a major part of your life. And if I'm correctly informed, you actually allocate your life in 38 rows in Excel. You have budgets for everything. If that's true, it's true. That's pretty extreme. Okay. But what part of what other things apart from Microsoft does get excel in your life?
I have three kids, a wife and 3 kids, and at the end of the day, they matter more to me than Microsoft.
That sounds like Ingmar Kamprad, sort of our big entrepreneur in Sweden.
Pardon me? Yeah. No, there's no question. I mean, at the end of the day, being a good father is more important than anything else. Now, if I didn't think I could be a good dad and run Microsoft, I know which one wins, and that's why I manage my time fairly tightly. Yeah, I have a spreadsheet. It says I will take 5 weeks of vacation. It says I will be home at a certain time to be able to have dinner with the kids. And it says I will work my butt off and be highly organized during the time I'm working so I can get everything done. That's what it says. It also says that except for the fact that I get to run between 5:30 and 6:30 a.m. every morning and play an occasional game of golf, I don't do anything else except spend time with my kids, my wife, and work.
All right. You've been a leader of Microsoft since you were 24 people. Can you give us a flavor of what happened with your leadership? How does it differ when you're 24 and when you're like 80,000 almost?
I don't know if your leadership changes with size. It changes with experience. If we were still 24 people, I think my leadership would be different nonetheless. It has to adapt to size, but it changes with experience. How confident, how aggressive, how assertive. When are you supposed to just tell people what to do? When are you trying to convince people what to do? When are you really trying to tell people you do whatever you want to do, as long as you take full accountability for it? And how you balance those things, there is some difference in 80,000 people versus 24, but there's also a lot of difference just in having done things many times before. I actually kind of understand better every year, even better now than I did when I was 45 and we were 70,000 people, that oftentimes the best thing to say to somebody is not, here's what I think, but to say to somebody, hey, you decide, I'll give you my ideas, and if you don't like them, I want you to reject them, but whatever you do, it's all on you. All the glory and all of the non-glory. It's all with you, and you've got to empower people in a certain way. And I'd say even to this day, I'm learning and growing and just kind of letting people do what they need to do in addition to what I'd like them to do.
If you would actually sit back for a while, take the second year on Stanford, for example, and look back on what you've done and what Microsoft's done, and then you would write a book about it after a year. What would that book be about? Would it be marketing? Would it be corporate culture? What has fascinated you the most?
Corporate culture. No question. It's what kind of environment did we build? What kind of environment did we want to build? How did those two things evolve? What have we learned? I mean, when I talk to folks who run other companies, that is a lot of what we talk about. When we're trying to recruit good students, like we sort of are today, when we're trying to recruit students to come to work at Microsoft, what's our marketing strategy may be the question, but what people want to figure out is, do I want to work with these people? Will I be able to make a difference? Can I make a contribution? What will it feel like every day? Will my work be recognized and rewarded? Will it be fun, or will it be oppressive? Now, those kinds of things are kind of at everybody's, the forefront of everybody's mind in almost every dimension. Now, if we weren't successful, to the degree we are successful, people are interested in that, and some of that comes from culture. But at the end of the day, I think that's the most interesting part of the story from a, let's say, a non-technology, sociological perspective.
Okay, we'll come back to culture, so that's great. You've been working back to back with Bill, if I understand it. He kind of took care of the technical side and it was blank for you, kind of, and you took care of the business side, apart from maybe business strategy, and it was blank for him, correct? Do you feel alone now? He's stepping down. You lost your partner.
I mean, I have great people I get to work with, but at the end of the day, the two biggest, people say, oh, what's it going to be like for Microsoft, blah, blah, blah. We have 80,000 people at Microsoft. Most of them don't see Bill, or they don't see him except in the newspaper. And, there's sort of a myth that exists that Bill does all the innovation at Microsoft. That hasn't been true for many years.
You would have a lot of lazy people if that were true.
Yeah, we have incredibly talented people who do the actual innovation and work. I'm not trying to take anything away. Bill's the smartest person I've ever met. And yet, probably the biggest transition would be for me and for Bill. Bill, because he's changing the way he spends his life, and me, because it's sort of like, I've been involved raising a child for 27 years with the same spouse, and then the spouse isn't there anymore. I mean, it's a little sad, but I'm energized by the life transition.
And you're probably still in the business of changing the world. How long will Microsoft be your platform to change the world?
I've told people that, unless I get sick or the board decides I'm not the right guy, I'd like to be at Microsoft as CEO probably another 10 years. After which time, probably somebody with, will need a different perspective, point of view, energy. But my youngest son is 8. 10 years, he'll be 18 and going to college, and it'll be time for me to do something else.
All right. Kind of from personal, and I actually run a company today where all the company was, all the financial was given to the company, and thereby we can actually say to the customers that all future dividends will go to charity. Imagine if Microsoft would have such a setup. What pros and cons would you see?
Well, let's just say it's an unusual structure, and it's hard for me to anticipate, but in a sense you could say a lot of Microsoft's dividends do go to charity. I mean, absolutely. What is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? It's sort of a Microsoft wealth going to charity. I'm full-time doing what I'm doing, but you got to believe that before I die, much of what I do will go to charity. So in a sense, a lot of the wealth creation in many companies, in a variety of different ways, not just the unique way of your company, but a lot of the wealth creation eventually does go for important social causes. And, as I like to remind my wife, every tax dollar we pay is part of contributing to a good social cause. We have to respect, I respect government's ability to redistribute wealth. We can all argue about how much to redistribute, but it is a charitable organization. Governments fund other things, but a lot of what governments do is help the poor and the old people who need help.
No one in the world has been more richly rewarded in stock options than you have. I think you have like 16 billion worth of options.
I never had a stock option.
Okay, fine.
No, it's actually quite different. Stock option means you get a right to buy stock. Bill gave me a bunch of stock.
That's better.
It is better. It's a lot better. It's a lot better, but it means that none of that funny stock option stuff should ever attach to me.
All right. Now, the question is, what will you do with that enormous amount of money? Sort of Warren Buffett gave his to Bill. Will you hand it back to Bill? He gave you stock, now you give him the money back and say, spend it in Africa.